With the price of membership increasing, more people are turning to bonds to pay for their membership, so I thought it might be useful to show you how you can consistently make 4 to 6 mil per hour killing the Phantom Muspah without having the best gear. The only requirement is the Secrets of the North quest, and if you get lucky you can make much more. You don't need the best gear, but you'll obviously get closer to 6 mil per hour the better gear you have. It also helps a little bit if you have a ranged weapon with a 10 tile attack range. I use an armadillo crossbow on long range for this, but it isn't a requirement, it's just a nice to have. I'm going to be using a pretty outdated setup, and I'll show you how to kill it first using ranged only, and then again using ranged with a magic switch. Like always, this is more for a beginner, and feel free to upgrade or change gear based on what you've got access to. Before we start, you'll want to make sure that you mark this tile. Pause the video if you need to, but it's important that you use this tile at some point in the fight. At the end of the video, I'll show you the loot from 100 kills. If using ranged only, you'll want to take your best ranged gear. I'd recommend a crossbow with ruby bolts enchanted or full crystal with a bolfer. But really, as long as you have a crossbow with ruby enchanted bolts, you'll be able to get the kill. So I'll normally bring ruby bolts enchanted, diamond bolts enchanted and sapphire bolts enchanted, all for different parts of the fight. In my inventory I'll have one ranging potion, 5 prayer pots, some runes to teleport there and back in the rune pouch, and a stamina pot, although you probably won't need a stamina most of the time. And the rest of the inventory is just food. You can also take thralls here if you want, but again it isn't needed, and for simplicity's sake I'm not going to be using thralls in this video. So when you start the fight, Muspah will either be in its ranged form or its melee form. I would recommend having sounds on, as this will help you hear when it's using its magic attack throughout the fight. If it's in its melee form, it will look like this, and you just need to keep protect against melee on and avoid it from hitting you by running around the room. This is similar to how people kill Sarah in the God Wars dungeon, or Commander Ziliana, whatever it's called. If it's in its ranged form, it'll look like this, so it'll be slightly green. In its ranged form, keep protect against ranged on. It might also attack you with magic. If so, it will put its arms in the air and make a noise before it sends the attack towards you. This will give you enough time to change your prayer to protect against magic before it hits you. As soon as it hits you, change back to protect against range. Once you've dealt around 100 damage to the boss, it will transform into the other combat style. So if it was using melee to begin with, it will now be using ranged, and if it was using ranged to begin with, it will now be using melee. Each time you deal 100 damage, it will also spawn a spike on the ground where you're currently stood, before it changes into the other phase. Make sure that you're ready to move away from your current tile, otherwise you'll be damaged and knocked back slightly. Around halfway through the fight, Muspah will use 2 special attacks, and it can use these in any order, but it will only do them once per fight. The first one I'm going to show you is the melee special. Muspah will let out a scream and put its head back for a second. Then a couple of spikes will begin to go towards you. They'll move at a walking pace, so you can outrun them. All you need to do is avoid them and not let them hit you by moving away. You can carry on hitting the boss, and after around 30 seconds or so, the spikes will stop moving and they'll stay stationary on the ground. The second special is usually when it's in its range phase, and again it'll put its head back and scream. Then it'll start rapidly moving around the room as a cloud of gas. There will also be small clouds moving around the room that will damage you if they hit you. The easiest way to deal with this phase is to stand on the marked tile. None of the clouds in the room will pass through this tile, so you'll never take any damage at all throughout this special. If you have a ranged weapon with a 10 tile attack range, you can also hit the Muspah while it's teleporting around the room from that tile. As you continue through the fight, more of the room will be taken up by spikes, so make sure that you're avoiding them. When he gets down to around 100 HP, Muspah will teleport into the middle of the room and charge up an attack that will damage everything in the room. The way to avoid this is to stand behind some of the spikes on the ground. You want to position it so that the spike is between your character and the Phantom Muspah. Once he's done this attack, he'll now be in his prayer phase. This is essentially the same as the ranged phase that you've already been dealing with. except you will need to drain his prayer bar above his head before you can damage him. What I usually do is I'll put Protect Against Ranged on, I'll wait for the Muspah to hit me, and then attack him using Sapphire Bolts enchanted. This is so that you're not both attacking at the same time, as you'll want to switch between Protect Against Ranged and Smite between hits. This will drain his prayer shield quicker. So in short, what you want to do is wait for him to attack you. As soon as that attack animation's gone off, change to Smite and attack him. As soon as your attack animation's gone off, change back to Protect Against Ranged and keep doing that until he's been smited. The Sapphire Bolts have an effect when procced. The effect drains the prayer of the monster that you're attacking, which is why we're taking them for this part of the fight. Muspah can still use the magic attack as well during this phase, so just keep an eye out for that and protect against magic if needed. Once his prayer shield's down, you no longer need to smite him, so put Protect Range back on, and he'll continue to use ranged and magic attacks like he has been doing. Just use the correct prayers as you've already been doing. Every few attacks, he will summon more spikes directly under you wherever you stood. All you need to do is keep an eye on that. If you see that the spikes are about to appear where you're stood, just move one tile away and carry on fighting. It's not really a boss that many people seem to kill, but it is pretty easy once you get the hang of it, and it's better money per hour than most other methods, including things like Zulra and Vorkath, so it's definitely worth learning. If you're taking a mage switch, the fight is exactly the same as taking the ranged. However, when the Muspah is in its melee phase, you just want to be freezing it instead of running away. You just freeze it, step back, and keep attacking it until its health's gone down to the next phase. I personally prefer taking ranged only because I'm lazy, but if you're not as lazy as I am, it can speed the kills up a little bit if you do take mage as well. It's mainly because in the melee phase, its range defense can be quite high, so sometimes you might struggle to hit it. Each kill was taking me between 3 to 4 minutes on average in this setup. It doesn't sound great, but it works out at just over 17 kills an hour. And in the 100 kills I've done here, I did receive 1 Venator shard. I unfortunately didn't get this on video, but I'm in a total of 25.1 mil. And that's including the loot from 2 frozen caches that I got as well. This worked out around 4.2 mil per hour in this gear. If you take better gear, this can be upwards of 6 mil per hour killing Muspah. Venator shard is a rate of 1 out of 100 as well, so I think this is a pretty good average of what you can expect, even with a mediocre setup. If you have max gear and get lucky, or if you just get lucky, you can also make a hell of a lot more here, but it's definitely worth trying. If this video helps, make sure to drop a like and a subscribe. Thanks for watching.